We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to, this is actually our third Live Well Jefferson Wellness Summit, but the second year in a row that we are doing this virtually. And I just want to take a couple minutes to thank our speakers. So this year, the committee came up with the idea to do 5 sessions, each one focusing on a different pillar of health from our Live Well Champion designation program. So we're very excited. Our first pillar of health is the design-built environment. And so today's presentation is all about designing your workspace to feel your best at home, in the office, and beyond. And so I just want to thank our committee. We have, I think, over 30 committee members at this point who are very dedicated and helpful to making sure that these events are well put together and thought out with great resources and information. So thank you to our committee members. And thank you to Coretta Lagarde is also on the call, and she is the chair of the Health and Wellness Committee this year. So thank you, Coretta, for all of your support and the work that you put in to make sure that this event was a success. And then just one more or two more quick announcements. So first, this webinar and all the webinars this week will be recorded and posted online. But we do have some door prizes that will be pulled on Friday. And if you attend all 5 sessions, you'll be entered to win one of the door prizes. And so I want to thank Humana actually for donating Fitbits for this, for the door prizes this year. So thank you to them. And then we will also be posting all of our speakers' contact info after the presentation, so that if you have specific questions, you can reach out to them too. And then finally, I just want to thank our summit sponsors and the sponsors of the Live Well Jefferson campaign. And those are Blue Cross Blue Shield Louisiana. They're our presenting sponsor, and they're an incredible support for this campaign and the organization in general. And then Biz New Orleans, Entergy Louisiana, Event Producers Inc., Latrim, Louisiana Public Health Institute, the West Jefferson Medical Center, Ochsner Health, and Tulane Lakeside. And so I think we can go ahead and get started. Cynthia Lee Shang, our parish president, unfortunately had a prior commitment that she could not miss, but she was kind enough to record a presentation for us. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. And then from there, we will go to Rich Baudry, who's our featured speaker of the day. He is here to really focus on the pillar of health design built environment. So without further ado, we'll get started.
Hi, this is Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang. I'm glad to be joining you for the Wellness Summit and want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. I am here at our fire training facility. I'm sitting on the stairways. This is actually an 8-floor facility where our firefighters learn to be the experts in first response. And this is also a place where people come to do their exercise. I'm told Chief Tibbetts comes here every morning and runs these stairways in the morning. So find creative ways to go to your workplace and take that time to exercise. We in the parish are certainly doing that with our employees. And I know in Jefferson Parish, we touch a lot of departments that help the overall health of our community, whether it's transportation and bike paths, transit initiatives that we're doing, down to sewer and water and making sure our public works systems are safe, even down to neighborhood revitalization and making sure your community is a strong one. So we want to thank you for taking the interest in health and wellness of your employees, and thank you for being a strong part of our community.
Okay, so that was the pre-recorded video from Cynthia Lee Shang, and now I am going to hand it over to Rich Beaudry, who is our featured speaker of the day. I will share. Here.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex and Coretta. Thanks for having us here. Yeah, the Live Well program is really a great program. As a physical therapist, we see people all the time with pain and dysfunction, and a lot of it is just part of your daily habits. And sometimes the biggest part of your health is in changing your habits. So today we're going to talk about office ergonomics. When we speak of office ergonomics, what emotion does that create in you? What do you feel when you think office ergonomics? To me, it's kind of just a nasty word. What does that mean? It's kind of feels negative to me. It doesn't really feel real positive. But when you think about office ergonomics, people normally think of chairs, monitors, the stupid mouse, this chair I got doesn't work. And so there seems to be so much, but there's so much more than just your actual setup. And we'll get to your setup, but the biggest thing is that since there is an office ergonomics, there's some sort of underlying problem or issue, or else we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be talking about office ergonomics. So what is the issue that we're talking about? Why are we talking about office ergonomics? I think the issue is pain. People have pain before, during, and after work somehow. And there's some sort of unresolved issues of where the pain's coming from. How do we get it? How do we get rid of it? And all those types of things. And certainly setting up your space can help you reduce pain, but also there's so much more to it. And we're going to get into all those type of things. So when we talk about pain, there's really two types of pain that we're talking about. The mental side of pain or emotional pain, and then the physical side. So, and the emotional side sets us up to have more physical pain. So when we talk about, go ahead and go back one slide, Alex. You're jumping ahead of me. I appreciate being on that button. So emotional pain. We're talking about stress and worry, anxiety, frustration, all the things that we all feel and have to deal with. But that emotional pain causes physical pain. It can cause increased tension in the muscles. It can cause achiness. It can cause you to just be uncomfortable, and your whole nervous system gets revved up when you have stress or emotional pain. I know Thursday is one of our presenters are talking about emotional pain. So I will move on from the emotional side of pain, which you'll get on Thursday, to the physical side of pain. And so what does that mean? What is a physical pain, and why are we having physical pain during our workday, before or after the workday? I believe that we should feel as good as we do walking in as we're walking out. We're working for a living, but we're really living to make a life. And so we should feel good at the end of the day, as good as we do coming into work. So what are the things that interrupts that or interferes with that? Alex, I'd like to do a poll, and I'm not sure if everyone has the emoji selection on the bottom, but we'll see. I'd like to ask you guys, if you have any of these pains, or if you've had any of these pains, respond with that emoji with the open mouth, kind of emoji. And we'll see if we don't have responses. I'll assume that you don't have the button, or you're not in tuned, and I'll just keep talking. So neck pain, and I can't see anybody. Neck pain, headaches. Anybody get tingling or numbness down the arm? Pain in the arm, shoulder pain, back pain, any pain in the hips, pain or nerves or tingling that go down the legs or into the feet. Anybody suffer from sciatica every now and again? These are all common pains that people have, period, right? And these are pains that seem to be worse at the end of the day, lots of times, and maybe because of our habits, our postural habits. So why do we have pain at work? What's the problem? And so if you move the slide forward.
Sorry, so Rich, I think that this is definitely something that we can have participation in. I'm not sure why the emojis don't seem to be enabled. I don't know if that's something that could be done in chat.
I see 4 chats that say yes, and 1 chat that says I suffer from all of that.
Okay, gotcha. So
and they don't have the button. Yeah. So all right, that's fine. So the point is, it's obvious that everyone has these type of pains off and on or intermittently. So how do we address them? I'm here. Let's talk about addressing that. That's all on me. All right, so the next slide, please. So the biggest problem I see with work, and I'm assuming most of us have sedentary type jobs, is that we sit in one position or one posture for long, long periods of time. And with anything, that causes aches and pains. So, I equate it to try to pull your finger back like this and hold your finger back all day long. How much pain would your finger be in if you're in that position all day long? Probably a lot. Mine's starting to hurt already. So, but we do that to our bodies. We sit at a desk and we sit in the same position for hours on end, and we get pain, right? So static positions causes pain. So sitting too long, standing too long, bending too much, being hunched over the computer too long, those all cause pain. And then we look at the other problem is postural habits. What are our postural habits? Do we sit a certain way? Do we have a habitual go-to position that we always sit in when we're talking on the phone or so forth? And the third way that causes pain is repetitive movement. So if I'm flipping a switch over and over all day long, that's likely to induce pain because my arm might fatigue. I'm putting stress on certain areas of my body that just don't recover fast enough. So what our body's desire is movement. Movement keeps our muscles soft, keeps our flexibility there. It increases the circulation through the body. So when we increase circulation, it can only help, right? It nourishes our body. When we sit in static, we don't get that circulation. So as the circulation decreases, we get more aches and pains. Interesting, our nervous system is only probably 2% of our body mass, but takes up 25% of our circulation, our blood flow. That's the nutritional requirement of the nervous system, which starts in the brain, goes down the brainstem, and then out into the extremities. So our nerves especially need blood flow. And when they don't get it, they start complaining. And it's the nerves that tell your brain, this hurts, ouch, this is tingling, this is aching, this is numb, all those type of things. So the nerves are constantly feeding the brain with input on how our body's doing. When we don't move enough, that input gets faulty, right? So movement helps the nervous system be stimulated and keeps the nervous system passing good information back and forth. And when we don't move, that information gets incorrect and gets oversensitized. So that's telling our body, oh, this hurts, oh, this hurts. It's really telling you to move. But sometimes we do, and sometimes we just ignore it. So the effects of inactivity, poor circulation, muscle imbalances. If we're always sitting like this, our chest muscles tend to get tight and our upper back muscles tend to get weak. Same thing with our low back. Our low back gets tight and our hip muscles get weak because we're sitting on them all the time. So we get muscle imbalances, which then causes problems when we go to move. We have tight muscles. So tightness, again, the chest muscles get really, really tight. And then you can't move. And then you get other problems because the movement is dysfunctional. And of course, when you don't move, the muscles get more tense, less circulation. And that's when you start getting those knots or those trigger points that everybody gets. I got one right here, right now. All right, next slide, please. So one problem with this whole thing is that 99% of our jobs are sedentary. Most of the people these days don't have to be out in a field working or digging or moving things. In fact, we see more people who have sedentary jobs in physical therapy than we do the guys who are working physical labor jobs, lifting and pulling and pushing. That's because our bodies are made for that. Our bodies need that input. And then when we're sedentary, we don't get it. So sedentary jobs, there's less movement. We sit more. People on average will sit for up to 15 hours a day. Think about that. Again, think about that pulling the finger back. So if we're sitting for 15 hours a day, whether we're driving or sitting at our desks or eating or socializing or going to restaurants and things like that, try putting your stopwatch on and time how long you sit today and see what that does. And then you can get a realistic picture of, wow, that's why this hurts, because I'm putting pressure on it all day long. Muscle imbalance, as we talked about. If we're less active, our posture, our core muscles are less active. So it's impossible to sit up all day. It really is. If we're sitting all day, there's no way nobody has good posture all day. It's because we're not made to sit that long, and we fatigue. And when we fatigue, we might do this for a little bit, but we're going to go this way, or we're going to go this way, or we're going to do this. We're going to get into that comfortable position that we're always in. And it's more or less a habit. But the more we do that, the more weak we get and the more imbalances we have. And as a result, we get aches and pains and stiffness. Next slide, please. So let's get on to the solution. How do we feel awesome by the end of the work day? Number one, we want to be aware of our posture. So as you sit there, I hope you can see yourself in the camera. And I want you to notice, just don't correct your posture. Just go to your comfortable place and let's see how it works. So I want to see, you know, is your head tilted a little bit to the right? Alex, is your right shoulder a little bit back of your left? Are you forward? Are you this way? Is one shoulder higher than the other? Are you leaning on your right armrest? Are you slouched back? Are you squinting forward because you're trying to see and read the monitor? Take an assessment of it, and that's where Zoom is kind of nice. If you can look at yourself in the mirror, you can see what's going on, and you'll be surprised that I see people coming in like, straighten your head. I am. No, straighten your head. No, I am. And then your body actually gets accustomed to this feeling like it's normal. And so we may be like this all day. Well, I don't know if it looks on the camera, but this is pretty uncomfortable. You know, my right side is just getting compressed. All this is getting compressed. My nerves on this side are getting angry. The muscles on this side are getting angry. Yet, if you've been doing this for years, this might be your go-to position. And although it doesn't hurt all the time, but eventually that's going to go down the arm and you start getting the tingling, the numbness, this carpal tunnel type sensation, you know, this elbow pain. All that can come from just static postures that we didn't even know we have. So one way to do it is be aware of your posture and check it out. If you don't have a camera on your computer, go into your bathroom and sit and just take a look, or stand, or notice when you brush your teeth, how you turn your head, how you raise your shoulder, if you're even, if you're not even. Those are probably things that weren't there all the time, but have been there because of the way you sit and the way you carry yourself. So that's number one. Be aware of your posture and check it out every now and again. I think you'll be surprised if you do it to see that, maybe I do have some muscle imbalances. Maybe there are some things I should work on. So number two, changing positions often. If you work in an office like most of us, you know, are there ways to change your position? Are there things that you're doing in that same static sitting position that you could do some other way? Could you do walking meetings? Could you go outside and walk when you're having a meeting, or even just around the office space? Could you walk up the stairs? There's ways that you could still talk, and with the blood flow, your brain will probably work better. You know, so are there things you could do? Every time you take a phone call, can you take a phone call standing? You know, can you walk around more? Can you take more trips around? Can you meet? Can you use a headset when you're on the phone? Think about the ways that you can alter your posture during the day. I bet you can find ways to change it up during the day. Just little simple things. Soft tissue health. All right, here's where we get to the fun stuff. Normally, I'd be showing you these things, but since we're on Zoom, we're going to go with this. So everybody's probably familiar with these things. These are little vibration guns that we use in the clinic all the time, and they're really good at moving the soft tissue. This muscle right here, which is like frantically working that mouse all day long, needs a little break. So if we can use a little massage gun to just do some soft tissue work here, maybe in our shoulder right here, maybe back here. This is one way to increase circulation to the tissues and make it feel better. These things feel great. If you haven't used one of these things, you ought to give it a try. There's tons of different varieties out there. So massage gun. This is a little mini Moji. This is a little handheld thing with little ball bearings. Another great little tool to just massage these neck muscles that have been holding your head up all day long. Just putting some deep pressure. That feels so good. We can do it up in the upper traps. We can get the shoulders. We can go all the way down. Find those tight spots. You're going to have tight spots, and you might not even realize they're there until you start probing around. But take a little take an opportunity to work that soft tissue and just kind of get it moving it around. Other things, there's all kind of little toys out there. This is a vibrating ball that vibrates, and you can just put it up against your back and sit on it just like that. You can use a softball pitching machine ball and get up against the wall and massage that trigger point that's right here, that's always tight, always hurting, right? So there's all kind of ways to use and move the soft tissue, and that can only help keep it from getting loose. I mean, keeping it from being tight can help reduce those trigger points, and generally just it's going to make you feel great. So soft tissue help is another tool. More intentional movement. This is where we really get moving. We've probably been sitting here for, how long has it been? Maybe 15 minutes or so. So we've been sitting in a position for 15 minutes. We didn't even know we were sitting. So more intentional movement. Here's where we're going to move around. So I'm going to get up and I'm going to do a little dynamic warm up. To feel good, you ought to move a little bit more. We're going to show you a few ways that we can start moving a little bit more. So I hope you're able to join. I hope you have enough space to back up. If not, you can do most of these things sitting, but I'm going to back up and get it moving. All right, we're good right here, Alex. Everybody's, you got me in the screen? Perfect. All right, so we're going to get it going. We want you to be as tall as you can, whether you're sitting or standing. I want you to imagine that somebody's pulling you from the top of your head, just like that. And I want you to get your arms going like this. So we're being as tall as we can, and we're pumping the elbows back and forth, and we're just kind of moving around. This is a great thing. This is going to take about 5 or 6 minutes, and you're going to feel great afterwards. So we just get it moving. Now we're doing palms up, taking a couple of deep breaths to kind of relax, as we might have had some stress today here on a Monday morning. And let's go palms down. And we're really feeling the shoulders working. Upper back should be squeezing back there. Those guys have been sticking there for 4 hours already. Let's go palms in, and we're going to fly the elbows. So we're going side to side, staying tall all the while as if somebody's pulling you from the top of your head. Take a deep breath in and feel the tension go. Let's go palms up now. So we're going one on top of the other, and we can switch back and forth. One on top, then the other one. Nice and tall. Make sure your shoulder blades are sitting back and not hunched forward or up. And let's go palms down. Good. Now we're loosening up the shoulder. We're giving those nerves some movement, what they love. All right, let's go one thumb up, one thumb down. And I want you to interlock your fingers and grasp and give them a good pull apart. So when you give it a pull apart, you should feel some tension right here on the outsides of the shoulders. So give it a good pull, and I want you to make some circles forward. So we're going to roll that baby forward, keeping tension between the fingers. And then we're going to roll it backwards. And you should really feel those deltoids working. Making those muscles work that have been sitting there holding your arms up all day. And so let's go side to side, keeping a little tension between the arms, just like that. Very good. And then keep your hands right here, pull apart, and I want you to swim forward, big swims. Get those elbows moving. There you go, good. You should really be feeling your shoulders working right now. And then a swim backwards, backstroke. Keeping the hands right in front of your chest, and you're pulling apart. Awesome. All right. Anybody feel the shoulders? Feel a little tension in there, a little workout going on? Right now, we just shake them loose and let the blood fill up in there. All right, we talked a lot about the nerves. The nerves come out of the brain, go down the brain stem, and go down the extremities into the arms. So we do what we call nerve glides. So what I want you to do is you're going to stand or sit tall, Elbows up at 90 degrees from your body and back as far as you can make it go. Almost like you're holding a tray of food or pizza or something like that. So we're right here. The fingers are pointing to the outside. There you go. And then I want you to stay tall, and I want you just to extend the elbow. So pushing it out that way, all the way out, like you're dumping that pizza out. And so we're just gliding it out. This is the median nerve. It's one of the nerves that goes down the arm and into the hand. So we're just gliding that out. And probably as you go out here, you feel the tension kind of in your forearm. And then when you go back out, you release it. Okay, so this time we're going to hold it out there. Now let's pull the fingers back and forth. So when you pull your fingers back, you ought to really feel some pulling in here. You might be familiar. This is kind of like a carpal tunnel type of thing. You start feeling that tension in your wrist. So we turn it on and we turn it off. We turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Good. That's a median nerve glide. Let's go ahead and do the other side. We don't want to be lopsided. So let's get it up here. Elbows up at 90 degrees and back. We're holding that pizza and we're dumping it out. And as you go here, you probably feel a little tension in it. Come back. Good. So let's go about 5 glides, just like that. 3, 4, and 5. Now keep the elbow straight, and let's just do the wrist. So wrist back and forth. So we're turning it on and turn it off. You might notice that one side might be tighter than the other. That may be an indication that your postural habit may be that you kind of compress that side, and that nerve is a little bit more upset than the nerve on this side. Be interesting to see if you guys had some asymmetries right to left. And we glide there. So that's median nerve. So let's do the ulnar nerve now. So what this one is like you're drinking a cup of tea, prim and proper, nice and tall, and you're dumping the tea kind of out on your head. Okay, so we're right here. You're holding the tea between your index finger and your thumb. You're turning your hand away, and we're raising it up like you're dumping it on your head. Fold it up. This is the ulnar nerve. This is the funny bone nerve. This is the one that goes right here behind your elbow and hurts when you hit it. So you might feel as you do this, you might feel a little bit of tightness in there. You can work just the end of the range where you're twisting your wrist back and forth. You're getting a little bit of that out. Give me the elbow going back a little bit. Elbow back and out. Yeah, now flip that wrist over and back. Palm away from you, palm towards you. There you go. So about 8 or 10 times for that ulnar nerve. Let's go to the other side. We're holding that T, and let's fold it up. And I feel it right in here, and come on back down. So we're just rotating it up. You'll play around with going further outside, further up. Different angles may create the different strain on you. That's one of the beauties. We're all made a little bit different. We might take it out here. The elbow stays back. We might just turn the forearm back and forth. Rotate the palm away and palm toward. Good. And that's your ulnar nerve right there. And there's one more main nerve that goes down the arm. If y'all were here, I'd ask you which nerve that is. It's the radial nerve. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to go from right here, palm towards your face, curl your fingers, turn your palm away, and extend the wrist out and back. And flex your wrist so that you feel it down the back side of your arm. So we're coming here, and we're gliding it away. And we're gliding it away. And we're gliding. Maybe 2 or 3 more times on this side. We'll turn and glide. Good work, good work. We're staying tall all the while. Good. One more time on this side. Very good. And let's go to the other side. So we're right here. Curl your fingers. Turn your palm away and reach down and back. Straightening your arm, bending your wrist. There you go. Good. And we're gliding. So radial nerve glide. And we're curving. Good work, good work. Curl your fingers, turn it out, just like that. Curl your fingers, turn it out. All right, the last one for right now is grab that upper trap right where it hurts. Find that tender spot and push down on a tender spot. Everybody should be shaking their heads. It should be is most likely tender on everyone. Now I want you to put a little pressure on there, and I want you to make a big circle up and around with your shoulder blade. So less of your arm, but more your shoulder blade. Shrug it up and reach it around. Good job. Big circle, put pressure on that spot, massage it out, get some blood into that upper trap, and move it out. Maybe 2 more turns. There's one. Good. One more big one on this side. All right, regroup on the other side. Let's find that tender spot. Again, you might notice one side being tighter than the other. That may be an indication that your posture is just cramping up that side, and it's causing that increased neural tension in there. So we're putting pressure on there. We're rolling it up and around from your shoulder blade. We're making a big circle. We're massaging it out. Big circles. Nicely done. And we move it out. All right, now we want to stand there really tall. And I want you to take a deep, deep breath in as big as you can. Get as much air as you can into your lungs. Hold that, staying tall. And then as you release it, let all that air go and really feel the tension decrease in the head, neck, and shoulders. Good. One more time. Big breath in from your belly. Expand your chest. Big breath. Get as much air as you can. And then exhale out. So there's your dynamic warm-up. That probably took 6 or 7 minutes. Maybe pretty good with timing. Was that 6 minutes or 7, Alex? 7?
I'm not sure. I was focusing so much on doing the movement. I have no idea.
There you go. You did a good job. I think it's about 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, it felt good.
Anyway, we all can use a little bit of that, right? And so what do we feel like? There's just less tension, right? So we got some blood flow in there. We got some nourishment. Our body's loving it. The nervous system is happy. We're going, oh, all that stress that we had this morning is just drifting away. So more movement, more stress, more intentional movement during the day will help you. And then finally, the old usual. They've never proven exercise to be bad for you. Thankfully, from my career, they've never proven it to be bad for you. So exercise is always good. So a little movement in the morning, a little bit of movement at lunchtime, and a little bit of movement at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be going in there, pumping iron. It could be just walking, just doing some flexibility, some yoga, some Tai Chi, whatever. Just move more and sit less. All right, so there's your 5 steps to feeling better at work. Now let's go on to your workspace. So Alex, if you go ahead and click the next one. Oops. There we are. All right, so here's traditional ergonomics, right? So let's look at the workspace and let's talk about the workspace. The more options you have, the better. The more you can change positions, the better. So create a space that you can work in and can move about. Chair-wise, let's look at chairs. All right, so the chair height should be at a height where your thighs are about parallel, or maybe even a little bit, your hips may be a little bit higher than your knees. So even with your knees or higher, you never want your hips to be lower than that. You want your ankles and your knees to be about 90 degrees, so feet flat on the floor. If you're not able to reach the floor, either your chair's too high or you need to raise the floor up to meet it. Sometimes you need to use blocks or things to put it up under your feet so your feet are resting on the floor. Otherwise, your legs are just dangling and you're hanging on that sciatic nerve right behind the knee, and then maybe you might get a little numbness in your toes. So get the feet right, get the height of the chair right, where your legs are supported, your feet are on the floor at about 90 degrees. Hips about 90 degrees, maybe 100 degrees. Nobody can sit up tall forever, so don't even try. Just change more often. So this picture shows I'm a little bit reclined. That's all right. That's probably more realistic. As far as chairs, I like having a pillow or something behind your back. I don't think it has to be anything special. This is just a homemade pillow. Just shove it right in that arch of your back, just so it keeps your pelvis more upright. Otherwise, without it, your pelvis rolls under, and then you're constantly stretching your low back muscles, which after a long day doesn't like it. So a little roll to go on your low back is always helpful. Could be anything. Could be a towel rolled up, a lumbar roll, whatever. So that supports that. All right. So now, if we're looking at our elbows, you want your arms supported. If your arms are hanging all day, then you have your upper traps and your deltoids are trying to hold yourself up. So have an armrest. Make sure the armrest is supporting the arms about at 90 degrees. Again, 90 to 100 degrees of support, but the forearms should be resting. Your wrists should be pretty flat and pretty square. If your wrists are too high or too low, it could be problematic. When you look at the desktop, make sure you have space around your desk. I imagine, Alex, that your desk is pretty clear. My desk is not, but it should be clear, right? You need room, you need space. Make sure it's clear. Make sure the height of the table is somewhere around elbow level so your arms aren't up too high or down too low. Sometimes there's issues with the height of the desk and the arm rails. Hopefully, if you have a chair that the arm rails go lower, hopefully you can scoot the arm rails up under the table, but I know that's not always an option. But if it's not, you might have to get creative and figure out some ways so your arms can be supported and not up here or down there. All right, so let's look at the monitor. So the monitor, one of the biggest things with the monitor is having the top of the monitor about at eye level or just above eye level. If it's too high, you're going to be jutting your neck out and really compressing your neck. Okay, if you're doing this, it's a good way to get a headache. So if you're looking for a headache, do that. Raise it up high so you have to screw this way, right? So if we're going this way, we're opening up the upper part of the neck and we're going to reduce headaches. So monitor about at eye level or below, the top of the monitor, just like that. You want your monitor out in front. You don't want it off to the side. If you have two monitors, put the monitor that you look at all the time more central in front of you. If you're constantly looking to the left, that's a good way to compress this left side for me, and that's a good way to have pain by the end of the day. So we want the monitors as close to forward as possible, or if you're using two monitors, make sure the one that you use the most is more centrally located in front of you. Distance-wise, it depends on whether you're wearing glasses or not, but you don't want to be too close. You want to be back where you can relax. Again, the eyes have harder time. The closer they are to the screen, the eyes have to work harder. So I think that distance says 50 to 60 centimeters. What is that in inches? I don't know. I didn't do the math. What is it, 2.5 centimeters, something like that? Anyway, about this far. Not too close, not too far. That's monitor. So the phone, if you're on the phone a lot, get a headset. Get some way to talk where you don't have to hold your phone or you don't have to do this. This is a killer, right? And people do that all the time. They're writing or they're doing something on the computer and they have to free their arms up so they're like this. If you're on the phone, use a headset. If you're on the phone, get up to use the phone. Why not? If you're not having to key in, stand up when you can. It gives you a great break from sitting, gives the back muscles a break, and it just allows you to feel better. And finally, the eyes. Again, if you wear glasses, it may be a little different with bifocals and things like that, but they do make the glasses that have the blue blockers. I certainly recommend that. As a little demonstration, we've been looking at the screen for probably, 30 minutes now. Try this. So sitting real tall, I want you just to close your eyes, and let's close your eyes for 10 seconds. Just close your eyes and relax your eyelids and kind of notice what you feel. You probably feel that, man, you can really tell that the eyes have been working hard. It's nice just to close them for a little while and just let them rest. You can kind of feel it. Oh man, it just feels like, yeah, this needs a little bit more of this. So spend some time with your eyes closed or take your eyes off the screen and look at a distance, changing that focus. Being focused at that same level or same distance all day really fatigues the eyes. It's another good way to get a headache. So take breaks to close your eyes and change that. Simple things. It's not big things. So that's the eyes. Let's go to the next slide, Alex. So, and the result. If we just move a little bit more, we're going to feel better, we're going to move better, and we're going to be more productive. It's hard to be productive when you got this crick in the neck or pain in the butt. do some things. There's many things you can do to change your environment, even a little bit, that can make a lot of difference in the end of the day, so you can go home feeling happy. That, and one more slide, I think. And so, Alex, I don't know where we are on time, but I'm glad to take questions, talk about specific things.
Let's see. So, perfect. Thank you so much, Rich. So we have plenty of time for Q&A. And I would just ask, you can either, I will be monitoring the chat box, so you're welcome to put questions in the chat, but if you, you can also like raise your hand or request to speak, and I can unmute anybody that's on the call so that you can just ask your question verbally. That might be easy as well, but we can definitely open it up for Q&A.
I saw one question about dry needling. We can talk about that. So dry needling is a technique that we use in physical therapy. It's been a really great tool for us. We've been using it probably 10 to 15 years, but it's really becoming more and more popular lately. What that does is it gives us a tool to reduce that tension in there, that trigger point, that really tight spot that we found right here. We'll go in and get that with a needle and just hit that little trigger point. It'll make the muscle twitch. And then you get a relaxation, a reflexive, just kind of relaxation of that muscle. So it's not a treatment, a be-all, end-all treatment, but it certainly helps us be able to affect the change more quickly.
And then I think there's a question, does dry needling hurt?
Some people love it, some people hate it. When you hit the trigger point, you definitely feel it, but the result, the outcome is much better than, it's well worth the short amount of pain. And then I think it depends on technique and who's doing it and what kind of technique they're using with you.
Linda Marshall, I think, has a question, maybe? Your hand was raised.
No, I was just curious about if issues with a wrist. I had a broken wrist 25 years ago, but I still have wrist fatigue. Anything with that?
Okay, left or right?
Right wrist, of course, and I'm right-handed.
And you're using the monitor, right? I mean, the mouse.
Mouse, yes. But I do have, they had recommended last year that we get the wrist pads with a wrist rest on it, so I do have that. All
right, have you, did you have surgery with the wrist or just a cast?
Yes, I shattered it. I broke it about 1,000 pieces. Roller skating.
Okay.
So
all right. So, so there's obviously going to be some residual scarring, and scar tissue is much less pliable than muscles or tendons and things like that. So, and this area right here of your wrist is kind of contained. There's not much room for movement in there. And if there's extra scar tissue, it's going to add more compression to the nerves in that area. And then if you're resting on it all day on a mouse, that's another reason that compresses that nerve. So I would encourage a lot of those nerve glides. Well, not a lot, but you start doing those nerve glides. There's several little stretches that you can do to kind of help improve the space in there. We're happy to send those to you if you want to reach out on that. We certainly do that. And then it's soft tissue work. It's keeping the muscles free, because the nerves that go here, they go through the muscles all the way down. So if there's any impedance anyway from the neck all the way down, it's going to increase the sensitivity of that nerve. And the more sensitive that nerve is, the more likely it is to cause you that aching, that pain, that numbness, that tingling, things like that. So I think it's more stretches, it's more soft tissue work on those muscles, and it's keep looking at your positioning and change posture more often.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? I actually have a question for you. So if you if you Google like the top 10 ergonomic chairs, it comes up with all this stuff like kneeling chairs, stools, things that bounce, things that don't bounce, and it's hard to navigate. Is some of this just a marketing ploy? What's actually good for you? Do you have any guidance as to what type of chair is actually best, or is there a best option?
So just the fact that there are thousands of different options out there tells you that there's really no one solution, right? So they all have their benefits. They all can apply to different people, but there is no one solution. That's kind of why we started with, you got to move more. You got to change positions more. But if you are looking at chairs and things like that, you want to make sure the chair is at the right height, that it's the right depth. So if it's too deep, you're not going to be able to reach your feet to the floor, or you're going to have to sit on the edge. So you're looking at the chair height and you're looking at the depth. And a lot of times the chairs are way too deep for people, so they can't possibly be supported. But there's a million different choices, and we could spend hours going through every choice. And is there one that's any better than the other? Maybe. It's like golf clubs. There's a million different golf clubs. There's still a swing problem that gets in the way of performance. But I'm glad to have that discussion with anybody. What we do in here is we usually have people take pictures of yourself in your work environment. And from that, we're able to give little tips. Hey, move this here, move that there, move this up, change this, get a box on your feet, things like that. Most of the time, there's little changes that can have big effects. So you don't have to go out spending dollar after dollar finding that latest and craziest mouse.
Okay. So is that something that you go to people's offices for? Do you do that for companies?
Yeah, we'll do any of that. We see them in here all the time. So that's how we know that office workers have pain, because they eventually get to us in the clinic. So if we can get them out there in the public before they have these problems, it's a lot easier to get better.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Okay.
I'm so sad we didn't get to see all his faces.
Sorry about that. I guess it's a limitation. Let's see. So we have a question that says, I get bad headaches that hurt from the sides of my head to behind the ears, all the way down either side of the neck when stressed. What do you recommend to help? How do you massage the head? Okay. All right. So when we get a headache, if it's mechanically oriented, it means that the nerves right here under your skull are being compressed. Okay. That's a mechanically cervicogenic type of headache. It results from people being in a position that too much of this. So too much of the chin up type forward head position really compresses this upper part of the neck. And when that gets irritated, those nerves right there start to complain. And those top two nerves go right here. So they refer right here. Most often people have upper cervical pain or lower cervical pain. And they kind of play off each other. So how do we work on that? So we have a nice handy tool. This is great for that, by the way. It's got a little ball bearing right here. And you can just put it right there below your skull and put some deep pressure and just roll that. With the ball, you can use your knuckle and just push right in there. Find that trigger point. Find where it's tight, because I'm sure it is, and put a little pressure there. Okay. The other thing is that if we're like this a lot, we just need to do more of the other. So it's more of a nod or a chin tuck. And if I nod, it lengthens those muscles right here and it opens them up so that the nerve has some relief. So again, the headache comes because you're sitting in a position that's compressing that nerve for a certain amount of time. And the longer you compress that nerve, the more you're going to have some sort of feeling, whether it's pain, tingling, numbness, whatever. So that's just the upper neck. So it's massage and it's cervical nods. Again, we're glad to share some information if you want to reach out. I think Alex said you would share our information. Glad to handle those questions outside of here as well. Thank you. And then just a comment, she said, she or he, they said, I think I need to lower my monitor. Basically, I guess they were paying attention to the slide with the angles.
Look at that, you were actually paying attention? Imagine that. That's awesome. If we can give you one little tip, if we gave you one little tip that helps today, then awesome. Then we did our job.
Well, thank you so much. Do we have any additional questions, Q&A, chat? Feel free to unmute yourself. We have a general comment, excellent session.
Thank you.
All right, well, it looks like, oh, what are your thoughts on standing desks?
Standing desk. I love a standing desk. I have one in my office. I love having the combination, having a standing desk and a sitting desk, or ways to change, because you can't stand all day either, especially if you have hard surfaces. So if you're standing all day, you might just be replacing the head and neck pain with the foot and ankle pain. But you want to have options. So I love a standing desk. Again, that slide that we had up there kind of showed it. You still want your body in neutral position. So you want it high enough. You want to get your monitor right so that you're looking a little bit down on it. You probably, if you're going to stand most of the day, you probably want some sort of padded surface. So if they make these little mats that have a little bit of cushion to them, that's probably a good idea. But it definitely gives you the option to change, which is the biggest part, is change your position more often.
Thank you. So we just got a comment that said, I must be on a different platform. I don't have the option to unmute, although I don't need to, just FYI. So I guess just a general announcement, if you raise your hand, I will go ahead and unmute you. And I apologize. The reason that we set up these panels this way is because when you have large groups of people, it can really alter the experience for everyone if someone isn't muted. And so it's much better to start with everyone muted, and then I'm happy to unmute you so that you can talk and interact throughout the session. So just a general, just a general announcement.
All right, Alex, I got a question for you. If we don't have any other questions, I have a question. What are the 3 things that our nerves, our nervous system like?
Likes?
That what does our nervous system like? We talked about a couple things a few times. Or need. What do our nerves need?
We have answers, exercise, water, and there's a third. And stimulation.
Absolutely. All right, those are great. Awesome answers. So movement, space, and blood flow. So when we're in one position too long, like if you fall asleep on the bar, everybody kind of knows what that feeling is, right? It goes numb. You had it in one position too long. So it needs movement. It needs space. This nerve needs space to be healthy. And it needs blood flow. Remember, the nerves take up 25% of the blood flow that our body uses. And the nerves are tiny, right? So it's very important to get the blood flowing. The nerve glides that we did, awesome to just kind of keep those nerves stimulated so they can relax. When they're not stimulated enough, they get more tense, and then our bodies get more tense. So movement, space, blood flow, and then the best ergonomic chair you can find.
Yeah, or multiple, apparently.
Or multiple chairs, right?
Yes.
Trade with your office workers. You know, have a rotating.
That's not a bad idea, because they're not cheap, you know?
No, they're not
so
cheap.
When you hear that you need multiple, it's not the greatest, but that's not a bad idea, circulating them throughout the office.
It's a gazillion-dollar industry. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for leaving us with that, you know, just kind of a really nice way to wrap up the day. That's a great fact to keep for everybody to remember, a good guide.
Just keep it simple, move more, sit less.
Thank you so much, Rich. We really appreciate your time today. I think we've covered all the questions, and we're ending 3 minutes early, so I don't think it could have been more perfect. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for helping us kick off a great summit week. We really appreciate
All right.
your time.
We look forward to the rest of the week. And I know that stress talk is big, so let's make sure you tune back in for the stress talk. I forget what Tuesday and Wednesday are.
Let me look. You can tell there's so many details for each one that I just really try to make sure I'm just focusing day by day.
There you go.
I will, since we're here and we have an extra minute, might as well go through each day. So we have, today was obviously design built environment. Tomorrow is physical activity. Wednesday is nutrition. Thursday is work-life integration, and that's the stress talk. And then Friday, we have our Healthy Business Awards and our Champions Resource Panel.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Well, I was a leadoff batter, so hopefully I got on base. We're waiting for the other guys to pull us around, knock us in.
Yes. Well, thank you so much again, and we will see everyone tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Peace.